What up, y'all? Scott here with Midwest Avenue, with Stephen Dale Vincent here from Midwest Avenue.
How we doing?
We're just hanging out here in the garage, in a room, because that's what this podcast is called, is in a room. And because you never know where it's going to be coming to you from, but it's in a room. And
it's in a room.
I figured that would be the easiest way to name a podcast.
Outside,
because
it's in a room.
But it could still be in a room. Well, I guess outside wouldn't really be in a room, but we could always pretend it is. But tonight, or actually this moment, I don't want to say today or tonight because you'll be watching this today or tonight, but in this moment, we're going to talk about some of the songs that we recorded at Blackbird Recording Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, and kind of maybe the process, or who knows what we're going to talk about, but we're just going to kind of go into each one song by song. What's that singing on there? Oh, AE lock. Okay, never mind. We're good on the video, but we're just rolling with this live, and we're going to see what happens. So the first song we're going to listen to and see what happens with is a song called "Like a Cadillac." We released it in June of 2023. And so I'll kind of play a little bit of it, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. Maybe Steve can too. I love that intro drum beat.
Yeah, we ride around this country with nowhere to go. Might even steal a key song or some old county road. To the left, you miss a deer, and you're right here in my arms. God bless the USA. Small town farm.
So, when I wrote that song, it was 2022. We were playing, I don't know if you remember the show we played at Pawnee, Illinois, at the Pawnee Prairie Days, and then Off the Wall played after us.
A real hot day.
A real hot day, and then where we kind of set up in front of the stage kind of thing. Remember Off the Wall they had another backdrop that looked like lights shining behind us in a weird way. You remember that?
Mm.
And so after that show, on my hour drive home, I had the idea of this song pop into my head. It's the only song I've ever written like this where I didn't have like a guitar in my hand playing, because that's 99.9% of the time how I always write. And I just had to, "Let me ride around this country." And I'm like, I had that line, I'm like, okay. And so I just started like, not texting while I'm driving, but I was writing in my notepad on my phone. And, so I was writing in there like the lines and stuff, and I just kept going. I already kind of had the chord structure in my head, just wasn't sure on the key, because sometimes singing you may think, oh, I'm singing in a G, but it may be an A or whatever. And so yeah, when I came to but I paused it there because of really kind of choosy sometimes on like if I want to put this line in there or not, because of I don't know if people even catch it, like listening to it, is the pre-chorus line is, "I took a left to miss a deer," like a deer, like with like antlers and stuff, like that kind of deer. "I took a left to miss a deer, and now you're right here in my arms." As in, like, I took a left and missed the deer, and the girl slides over and she's in your arms. And God bless the USA and small town farm. That was an easy line, but the deer line was like, how cheesy is that? I thought pretty cheesy, so I was like, let's roll with it. And so that's kind of how that came about. And then the chorus, every time we play this song, and I think of the chorus, I think of whenever we were in a studio and you were doing your backup vocals, which we had at the time whenever we recorded it in the studio. I think we played it out live like maybe like 2 or 3 times just based on our practicing for the studio. But live, those 2 or 3 times we played it live, you never sang backup vocals on it because it was still like super fresh. And that's a June bug.
In July.
I hate June bugs. Yeah, you're out past your time. That's right. Here we go. Bing, bing. Okay. And I think about the night. It would have been the first night in Nashville after we went in for our first day of the 4 days in the studio, and me and you were like, "Let's get together and like work on background." I hate June bugs. I just killed 2 of them. It's my biggest fear in life, and of course, here we are. And So we need to work on like background vocals and stuff, and I had the lyric sheets printed up and all that good stuff, and we were sitting in the living room. Do you remember that? And that's like, I actually have it, I recorded it on my phone, the audio of it. I just haven't posted on the podcast yet, but closer to the album release, I will. It's pretty cool to listen to here, and us like discuss the different lines and stuff. Like, should we do the backup on this line or this line or both of them, you know? And so on that chorus, so what I always think of, I was getting to it without my rambling here, is whenever we got into you doing your backup vocals, the last line of each line, like, if you're gonna get it up, gonna get on that, and don't forget your shoes. And if you love a man, better tell a man you'll be singing the lovesick blues. Yeah, that line right there on the blues. Do you remember me in the studio? I'm like, hold up! I'm like, do that every freaking time, because like, I don't know what note that is.
I didn't know either, but I just happened to hear it.
Yeah, it was amazing. And every time I hear that, like that, it just takes me back to that moment of just being like, where like just the magic happens.
Yeah,
you know,
it's fun in the studio.
Yeah,
you just never know. That's what I like, is you never know what's going. You always find something that you didn't think was going to happen. The accidents are what's good.
Because you thought you messed up on the line. Because I think I remember that day you were like, whenever you mentioned something like, "Oh man, where you stopped at?" I thought that maybe I screwed it up, you know. And I'm like, no, like I was like blown away, and it wasn't just like me that heard it. It was like Chris heard it. Oh shoot, big tall guy.
Carrie Underwood.
Not the producer. He was one of the engineers there. Big, gigantic, like bodybuilder guy.
You talked to him more than I did.
I know. I can't remember. Oh, I'll remember his name here in a minute. But if you're watching this, I love you, brother. He's a drummer in a death metal band.
Yeah, all right.
But he heard it too. He's like, man, that's the business. And I'm like, yeah. So we stuck with it, and and then at the end of I'll let you guys hear a little bit of that chorus first before I explain this next part.
If you're gonna get up, gonna get on that, and don't forget your shoes. If you love a man, better tell a man, and you'll be singing the lovesick blues. Bumping from front to back, gonna ride this fool like a Cadillac. Bumping from the front to back, gonna ride this fool like a Cadillac.
So that last tagline, bumping from the front to back, I'm gonna ride this fool like a Cadillac. Now that part was already written before I was writing this song on the way home from Pawnee. I had this like one line, the bumping from the front, because initially I had it like singing a lot lower, like I almost like had this idea of like this like bro country hip hop type song, kind of like more of an old school like Jason Aldean from back in the day, or kind of like that. Like the hip hop influence was strong. Not that it isn't still in country music, but I had this idea of like dun 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 bumping from the front to back, gonna ride this fool like a Cadillac, something like that. But I just thought that was kind of catchy, and to this day, I don't really know what it means. I guess riding around in an old car, but thinking that it's a nice one, you know. Now, it always puts me in mind of an Oldsmobile I used to drive whenever I was in high school, 1987 Oldsmobile with the, what's that stuff called? Like it's like on the under part of like the ceiling or the roof of a car, upholstery, I guess, like the cloth. You know what I mean? But the cloth like was like hanging down, so I had like what is it? A push pin.
Push pin.
Yeah, hold it up. I mean, I was thinking that on that line. But yeah, so I'm like, this song, just like a Cadillac, or this chorus after Lovesick Blues needs something else, because like I can't just end it on that. And so then like that's I came into the bumping, so I put it with the bumping like, or bumping from the front to back, ride this for like a Cadillac. I put that in the tempo in the higher register melody of what I was singing with the chorus of this. And then in the instant of writing that, I already had that, like, my dad's drum part in my head. I just had to, like, kind of, I couldn't tell him how to play it because, like, I don't know how to play it. But, like, I already had that, like, like, to kind of just lead into that. And, yeah, so that's like that. And then the next verse, like, we like to write songs, like, about, like, real life and just, like, things that we relate to and have, I guess, experienced ourselves. It's like the second verse is like kind of explaining, like, you know, real life, you know. Yeah, we spend all our money like it grows on trees and different things like that. And then the pre-chorus line is one of my favorites. Let me see if I can cue that up real quick. Oh, my music already shut off. Let's get her back going again. That means I'm talking too long. But the whole concept is basically around the one thing that we all love, which is money.
Didn't need a house with the all that you got a phone. God bless the USA, the bills you owe. If you
That line right there, then you get a house with a yard that you gotta mow. God bless the USA and the bills you owe. And it's the truth. 'Cause we all gotta pay those gimmicks named bills. I'm out here killing mosquitoes and June bugs. So if you need somebody to do it with their own 2 hands, you know the guy to call. So yeah, that's Like a Cadillac in a nutshell. Is there anything else you want to throw onto that from Like a Cadillac that you remember?
It was fun. Like I said, we hadn't played it at all.
3 or 5 times.
A couple of times in getting the studio, so I had to kind of decipher what I wanted to do with it, you know, and because you can't just, you're not going to get it in the first take, of course. So most of them took me about 3 takes, you know. Really, I could get it by the 3rd one, just kind of run through it. And
well, that song too, whenever we were doing like our practices leading up to the actual recording, you had always played banjo on that. You had never played fiddle on this song.
That's right. Yeah, I never played fiddle.
Until what you hear. And, I mean, that's why Steve is the professional he is. That's why we pay him top dollar.
Top dollar.
Because he can just go in there like you've been playing it for 50 years and, oh, I remember this one. Give me a couple tries here, I'll knock her out.
No, it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. Maybe that's one thing that we can touch on is, I think sometimes, and I guess us growing up in music families and being around it and knowing, you know, that it does take time and hard work and dedication and persistence.
It's like being a golfer or anything. Yeah. Like, I see how golfers, why they're good, but it took them.
Steve's recently taken up golf.
I just recently taken up golf. I thought, I'd get it in a couple months. No, I see now.
Yeah.
It's like another instrument.
Right.
That's how I'm looking at golf. It's another instrument because it's like, okay, it's going to be some years on it.
Yeah. And sometimes I think like that people sometimes, and like I can see where people understand, like get this idea that it looks easy, like whenever you're up on stage doing a show or playing songs, it just looks like these guys know what they're doing. I mean, it's kind of just like tying your shoes, you know. There's a lot. You don't get to see like it's
the things that are sometimes going wrong.
Right. It's kind of like that picture you see, like where like you see like the ground and you see the tree, and you see all the roots. Like it's all this stuff that not a lot of people see because like I'm sure you. I mean I know you. I'm saying I'm sure you just in the context of the conversation because we've talked about these things happening. But other musicians out there like can relate to this. So like somebody coming up and be like, hey, can you play this song, you know?
While you're playing.
Right. Yeah.
They want to come up and have a conversation, full-blown conversation to you. Hey, what kind of stocks did you sell last week? You know, I'm just trying to play here.
I'm like, I really don't know that song, you know? And they're like, but it goes like this. Not, can't you just do that? I'm like, I got to remember the words, I got to know the chords, I got to know the melody. And I mean, there's a whole lot of comfortability that comes with practice and time. Now, not to say that we have not won some songs that we barely knew
Yeah.
live,
Yeah.
and sometimes goes good, and sometimes does not. But
Yeah. It's what. Yeah. It's
so
what-
basically, what I was trying to say is that it just takes. Not everybody sees the time and dedication that goes into the craft and all that, and sometimes to even see the fruit of your labor, you know. But thanks to you all, we're getting to see some of it and having a lot of fun doing it. The live shows the last 2 years, well, like I said, the last year and a half especially, have been A+ for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Really good time.
You want to do one of your songs? You want to pick another one here?
I don't care.
Steve-O.
Which one you looking at over there?
I'll let you pick. You want to do Broke or Take Me Drunk?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about the background of "Take Me Drunk." Really, I mean, it's just it's like a phrase line. I guess I could just talk about that. I don't know. It was just a phrase line that. Go ahead and.
Yeah, we'll cue up a little bit of it.
You can edit whatever, but.
Oh yeah, no, I love it.
mean,
So one thing, like with this song, I think of is.
are you? Okay, you start recording. Yeah.
We're just rolling live. I need a cutting thing, but help me
I do that.
Whenever we get time here with this may I'll just go boom and just have it cruising this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever they're watching this at or listening to this at Spotify. But one thing I think about with this song is I, for the life of me, whenever we were recording it, I'm like, and I knew Chris, we were both kind of hesitant on one of the changes, because it starts out in D, and then did it go to A or G? And I'm like, and we were both like looking at each other like, because, well, and mind you, all this is like live stuff that you hear on our final record. It's not like meticulously like gone through like 50 takes and we picked the best one. Like we played the song probably each song 5 to 8 times probably, and we just picked the best one overall. Just bam. Which if you are an up and coming musician, would never probably recommend it to you, but we just did it because like what the hell, it felt good. So. But there is glory in the click track, which we did not play to a click track, but it has its benefits.
Times.
Yeah. So
We
play
did
a
all
little
right,
bit of
though.
this, and
We did all right.
we'll do some talking. Again, another song that Steve hadn't played fiddle on until this song.
We went out on the town, not expecting to get messed up.
Nobody does.
Every time my glass ran empty, and somebody filled back up. Drink, shot to shot, this went on all night long.
Yeah.
And now I don't know where home is. That's why I wrote this song. Take me drunk, I'm home. Don't wanna be nobody's fool. Had too many hours sitting there on this bar stool. And don't leave me alone. Baby, please stay with me to our 2-bedroom, broken down furnace alone. Take me drunk, I'm home. We somehow ended up at the local county jail.
Nobody wants to be there.
Good thing for us, we were all able to make bail. We're heading out again tonight, hope to make it home this time. If I don't know where home is, I hope to make it home alive.
Darn straight.
Yeah.
Take me drunk, I'm home. Don't wanna be nobody's fool. Had too many hours sitting there on this bar stool. And don't leave me alone. Baby, please stay with me to our 2-bedroom, broken down furnace, holes in the ceiling, pipes are all frozen, and the dog won't bite no more. Take me drunk, I'm home.
The first thing that comes to my mind, like with that, like in the studio being in there, was when we had like at the time we were at Blackbird Recording Studios. They had some engineering students and producers that were learning behind the engineers and producers that were doing our stuff, and we got them in on crowd vocals for this song and the Yeehaw. We used to call Redneck Heaven, but I changed it to Yeehaw because long story.
I get it.
And but having them in there on that, and then at the end you can hear Elle, one of the girls was in there because like she was like laughing at the end of it, and she's like, "Don't put that in there." Like, but I was like, well, "Why not leave that?" Like you said, let's leave it in there. It sounds kind of funny because like she's like laughing after like, "Take me drunk."
Oh, right.
I
mean, it's a little bit laugh.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounded really good. The accidents are the best part sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, really. That's why I like recording, because you never know what's going to come out.
Yeah,
you try to be too perfect, and
which I think that we shied away from being perfect on this record.
Yeah.
Recording in the A+ of A+ studios, being on the biggest level that we've ever been on in the studio environment by any stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Where maybe smarter men would have tried to be more perfect, but like I felt like
you overthink it.
I felt like that day, like I remember like literally making the call whenever like we were doing the scratch tracks, just getting levels on things. And I remember Mark Rubel, our producer, saying, "What's the BPM for this song?" The first one we were going to do after we done like we probably played like 6-7 songs, just getting levels and stuff. And I just remember being like, I think we're just going to go live with this, and just see what happens. And so we did the whole time. Like I said, there's no way to.
Most people don't do that, I guess.
No, they don't. Like because he thought it was refreshing, and I'm like, well, because typically, like the thing is, if you do like a click track, is like say like if
it's a metronome.
Yeah. I mean,
you got to follow a metronome.
But what I'm trying to explain the benefits of. I'm trying to give a song. Colin Baton Rouge, Garth Brooks, or Newgrass Revival, whichever one you want to go with. But everybody knows the iconic fiddle line. So use that for example, because it's repeated time after time in the song. If you wanted to, where you have a click track or a metronome throughout the whole song, technically Steve could go in and play that fiddle part one time, and then each time it comes up, we can just copy and paste it each time, and it wouldn't sound robotic or like it's the same thing being played, because it's played to the constant metronome, the click track, so therefore it would all fit and sound organic and natural. But we didn't do that. He had to play everything every time.
And perfect, yes. Yeah, if not, I was just standing back there, I had to give him a spanking one bad note, but he didn't even hit one, so. But on Take Me Drunk, I'm Home, like, talking about, like, accidents and stuff, like happy accidents and stuff. One of the cool things is that ending little banjo part that you hear at the very end of that was never discussed, never planned, never even a thought until he did it. And, like, that was, like... That's what I like.
Was that, like... So, like, tell me about, like, that.
I just heard it.
Like, was it a scale, or was it just, like, something
just,
you'd done before?
The bluegrass. I mean, growing up with bluegrass, you just learn how to walk your way out of it. I mean, just between chords, scales, whatever you want to call it. It's just working your way,
I just thought it was like really cool. It was kind of like a, I guess you'd call it like a good bookend on the whole thing. Because to me, like that song and the story, like with it, like starting out, like so we went out on the town not expecting to get messed up. Because whoever does that, it's like
you're just gonna have a couple.
Guys, we're gonna go out. We're not getting messed up for sure. We're just gonna have a couple drinks.
Gonna have a go.
We don't want to get messed
2 or 3
up.
we get back.
Right, exactly, yeah. Because like whoever does that. I mean, I'm
well,
sure,
some do.
I'm sure there are some responsible folks out there that do.
There's some that say, "Yeah, we're all in tonight," but others that think they're going to have 1 or 2 and go back home.
Right.
And that's what this song kind of focuses around. And I had to try to think of what rhymes with home, you know.
That's what I was asking.
So I was like, how do you? What city do I know in this world that even rhymes with home? So I was thinking Nome, Alaska, you know. So I hope
everybody thinks about Alaska.
Yeah, everybody thinks about Alaska when they're out. So I hope people get that. We're gonna have to. I think we should send it to the mayor of Nome.
Well, so
send a copy.
I haven't gotten that far yet, but I did literally 2 days ago. I haven't gotten approved for it yet. But there is a Nome, Alaska Facebook group that has like 3,600 people in it. There's probably for people that live there or around there that want to know like about the events going on and things like that. So I'm gonna be like, I'm hoping I get approved, and then I can post in there and be like, hey, check out this song we wrote, you know, and try to get in there that way. But we could just send a copy.
There might have been another city in the world that rhymed with home. I should have looked at the road.
I mean,
I could have went with Rome, I guess. You tell me that now.
But
it's not cold there though. It talks about furnaces.
Right, I know,
you know. So I was trying to think of a cold place. So you gotta go with your first gut instinct, I think. Sometimes
I remember whenever you were right. You had written that song and you had. I'm trying to think of the. Well, so like basically, if I remember correctly, when I first heard you play it, we were sitting on my dad's porch, and you were, hey, check out this new song I just wrote, and you played it, and then like he did the second chorus, the last chorus, and then he played another round of like the music, another probably 2 or 4 measures, and then you did the your 2-bedroom broken down furnace, you know, and he did that, and I'm like, dude, put that like just like as like right at the end of that chorus, and dude, whenever you just roll, it's like boom, boom, it's like an auctioneer.
Right.
Just
everything's broken down, you know.
Oh, dude,
holes in the ceiling.
I love.
And the dog won't bite.
You know? And then so then we had that, and I remember going to because initially like the crowd chants that wasn't really an idea that we had until close before recording.
Oh, right. Yeah, because I said we need to make it sound like it's a
party song.
Yeah.
Well, I would say a party. Well, I mean, it is a party song, but I'm trying to think what you said.
Like there's more people, and I don't know.
Yeah, and we
the ambiance.
threw that idea in there, and then it was just next level once we got to that. And I was so much fun about that. I was doing those chants and at the take me drunk home. Don't leave me alone. You know? Because
if anybody's ever been there, you want to say, "Take me home, I'm drunk," and sometimes it just comes out. Take me drunk.
What's funny is I've heard that line like a couple times. That's like, and we're like, why hasn't anybody written a song like that? You know, it wouldn't even like maybe a year later, and then he comes up with, he's like, hey, check out this song. I'm like, that is genius. And because sometimes, like, and what we try to do is like take like things like that, like that we've heard before, or things that are in culture that aren't necessarily out there, because like I think Jerry Reed too, back in the day in country, kind of brought like what we're trying to bring in a way, a little bit of the fun and the humorous side. I wouldn't say it's not comedic, but it's just it's just a different angle, and I think that like I think maybe that's kind of what's helped us like in our live shows and to our original music is being ourselves, because like we like to laugh, as you can't tell, and like love to tell jokes and stuff. And it comes to the music, not that we don't have any serious songs, because we do, but we're not afraid to cross that boundary where sometimes it's like everybody else is radio friendly, but like we're at the point now like where I'd say like we don't feel like we're writing like to get on the radio or to get anywhere. Like we're just trying to write songs that the people that dig what we do dig it, and if they share it with their friends, they do. Like we just wanted to bring happiness and joy and relationship and be able to let people feel something, you know. And I think with this song too, it's like it's not your typical like let's go out and get drunk and party. It's just like but there's story and there's context there's context to it. And like Eric Bischoff, which you probably don't know, he's a wrestling guy. His big quote, his big thing is context is king. And we could have been more vague, like with lyrics and stuff. It's like you're talking about being on the bar stool, sitting there, like detail and building context to the overall story. Instead of just being like, I drank a whole bunch, take me drunk, I'm home. A lot of times in songwriting, it goes that way.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, you got to build a storyline.
I'm getting very philosophical.
And I never thought it'd be like a storyteller, I guess, but when it comes to songs, I feel like I tend to try to pull you in, I guess, anyway, But
he tells you he's not a storyteller, but me and him have set up many a nights. I'm talking like the birds were chirping.
Oh, yeah.
Just talking and telling stories. And laughing so hard that my eyeballs about fell
It's
out.
been, latest one was 9 o'clock in the morning.
Was that the one that I called in Hardy's? You might have been asleep by that.
No, I think you might have called it, but I might have went to sleep because it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Like
I'm
three
like,
things of biscuits
we
and
stayed
gravy.
up all night.
Yes.
It's 9 o'clock in the
On my
morning.
back
I'm
porch.
like, I can't believe I'm still up 9 o'clock in the morning.